Hi, folks. I'm Peter Lemieux with Rounding Third and Batter Sports. I tell baseball stories. I think I got a wonderful story today. All of us are aware that there are certain baseball stars who embed themselves into the brains, but more importantly, into the hearts of the fans. People can't think a bad thought about this person. He meant so much to the city and to the team. And teams recognize people like that. And the Yankees built monuments in center field. Other teams have built statues of their stars outside. And, you just think about Pittsburgh and Roberto Clemente, St. Louis and Stan Musial or Bob Gibson, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio. Anybody who was around at that time, they just remember wonderful thoughts. I'm going to describe such a guy. But unlike these other stars, this guy only played in his city for 4 years, got traded away, and returned at the end of his career. In a 14-year career, he played, I'll tell you the city, Cleveland, Ohio, with the Indians, 6 years out of 14. I'm talking about Rocky Colavito. Rocky Colavito is amazing, the affection the people of Cleveland had for him and still have for him today. Starts with a 16-year-old kid with a perfect frame for baseball. 6'3", kind of looks like Joe DiMaggio, Italian kid from the Bronx. He quits high school to become a baseball player. And believe it or not, says yes to the Cleveland Indians rather than the Yankees. And his explanation was the scout for the Cleveland Indians was nicer to him. Who knows? So at a young age, he goes into the minor leagues, and they find out that Rocky has tremendous power when he hits. He's going to be a great home run hitter. He has another feature unique to him. This guy can throw a baseball. He could stand at the right field wall and throw to the catcher in the air. He had an amazing arm. So when the Indians finally brought him up in 1956, mere 4 years after being in the World Series, he became the hope of the city. With Rocky Colavito, we are going back to the World Series. He was only 23 years old. His first full season was okay. He hit 21 home runs, drove in 65 runs. It was only going to get better, and it did. 1957, Rocky hit 25 home runs with 84 runs batted in. And the hope of the fans got higher and higher, culminating in his third full year with the Indians in 1958 at the age of 25. Listen to this. Rocky hit 303, 41 home runs, and 113 RBIs. He had arrived, and now the Cleveland Indians were it's build around this guy. We're going back to the series. He did not let them down the next year. In 1958, 42 home runs, 111 RBIs. He was the star of the city, star of the team. The women all loved him. He was a good-looking guy. He was a nice guy. He had no enemies. He got along with the press. He got along with the players. This was just the perfect guy to build a team on. Now enter the villain of the story. The general manager was a guy named Frank Lane. He developed the nickname Trader Frank. It's Trader. Frank loved trades. He thought you improve a team with trades. On Easter Sunday, 1960, just before the season began, the most shocking news hit Cleveland. They had traded Rocky Colavito away at the age of 25, hitting over 40 home runs 2 years in a row. They traded him to the Detroit Tigers for a guy named Harvey Keene. Now, Harvey Keene was a good hitter. He had just finished leading the American League in batting average. Harvey Keene did not have the personality and the charm of Rocky, didn't have the looks of Rocky, and he was not a long ball hitter. He hit 8 to 10 home runs a year, and Trader Joe said, I'd rather have a lot of singles than a few home runs. Well, Rocky hit more than a few home runs. The fans erupted in anger and in protest. They went down to the Cleveland Indians offices, hundreds of people protesting the trade. Well, it was only a few weeks later that the season started. And as fortune would have it, the Detroit Tigers are in Cleveland for opening day. And Rocky gets to face his old teammate. Most of the fans in the stadium are cheering for Rocky and not the Indians. They even had hung Frank Lane in effigy at this game. Well, in the first game of the season, Rocky had a bad game, struck out 4 times. However, Detroit did win the game. Frank Lane, trying to save face, announced that he was going to give a brand new hat to every pitcher who struck out Rocky in that game, making him even more hated by the Cleveland fans. So on day 2, what happens? Rocky hits a 3-run homer. Detroit leaves town with a 2-0 record, and Cleveland is 0-2. And the season goes on. Rocky finishes the year with 35 homers, 87 RBIs. Cleveland fans are so upset about this. To make salt the wound, at the end of the season, trader Frank trades away for Harvey Keene to the Giants. So now they have a couple of guys they don't even know from the San Francisco Giants, and no Rocky. It gets worse. The second year with the Tigers, Rocky hits 45 home runs and drives in, get this, 140. That's correct, 140 runs. The people of Cleveland just get angrier and angrier and angrier. And Rocky goes on, has a third year with Detroit where he drives in 112. The fourth year, he starts to slip a little bit. Tigers pull the trigger, trade him to the Kansas City Athletics, but he ends up driving in 102 runs. At that point, under so much pressure from the fans, Frank Lane is long gone. Cleveland makes a trade with the Athletics to bring Rocky back. Now, Rocky is now 32 years old, but the fans just, it's like Christmas. Our star has returned. So in the first year, Rocky, he's getting older. 26 home runs, but still drove in over 100. The second year's home runs went up, but his RBIs dropped to 72. So when we got to 1967, after 63 games, Rocky gets traded to the White Sox. He's getting older. He's not the guy he used to be. White Sox, Dodgers for a few games, Yankees for 39 games, and Rocky retires. Of that whole 14-year career, Rocky was productive in Cleveland for 6 seasons. But the people only remember the beginning. They remember the hope. Folks, to this day, Cleveland's last World Series win was 1948. It's gone now 77 years. It's a city dying to have some hope. For a brief moment, Rocky gave that to him. Let me talk about his arm. Early in his career, they were having exhibition games in San Diego, and the manager challenged Rocky to throw a ball from home plate over the center field wall, which was 435 feet away with a 10-foot wall. Rocky's throw cleared the wall comfortably. People who were there said, I bet that ball went 500 feet. I don't know. I wasn't there. I just know that's an awesome throw. And so Rocky's arm was validated, his home runs, his RBIs. Let's talk one more thing about the arms. Once when he was in Cleveland as a young man, the game was out of control, and rather than waste the pitchers, they brought Rocky in to pitch. He pitched 3 innings, allowing 0 runs, throwing nothing but fastballs. Later on, at the end of his career, his last year at the Yankees did the same thing. They brought Rocky in. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, no runs, just fastballs. When Rocky retired, he had pitched 5 2/3 innings of Major League Ball with an ERA of 0.000. It's a great story. He was always a likable guy. Everybody liked him where he went. He was good looking. It was just a perfect story shattered by a trade. Now, there's a fellow by the name of Terry Pluto, Pluto, who 30 years later wrote this book, The Curse of Rocky Colavito, a loving look at a 30-year slump. He's a Cleveland Indian fan. And 30 years after that trade, he came to the conclusion the trade of Rocky Colavito has cursed the Cleveland Indians, like the trade of Babe Ruth from Boston to the Yankees cursed the Red Sox. Now, of course, I don't go along with that. But my friends, 1948, we are now 77 years without a World Series victory. But Terry Pluto believes they would have won a World Series if they would have just hung on to their hero, Rocky Colavito. That's my story. I think it's a great one. Later on, they called Rocky back to the stadium in Cleveland and unveiled a statue to Rocky Colavito. Folks, he only played there in his prime for 4 years, but in Cleveland, he is a hero, like Mickey Mantle is in New York. So you got to love Rocky Colavito. He's a great guy. He was a great long ball threat. Not Hall of Fame because his batting average when he retired was 266. He did what he could do. He hit home runs, drove in a lot of people, and boy, did the people love to watch him throw from the outfield. I guess you had to be there. So maybe in a little way, my story puts you back there and you kind of get those feelings of how wonderful that was to be in Cleveland cheering for Rocky Colavito. Folks, that's what I do. I tell baseball stories. I hope to make you feel warm memories yourself. Do me a favor, join the club, follow, subscribe, make comments. What players do you remember from your youth that could do no wrong in your mind? And to this day, no one better ever say a bad word about him, because he was your hero when you were growing up. So, salute to Rocky Colavito. I look forward to seeing you guys again at Rounding Third. I'm Peter Lemieux. Have a great baseball day.